On today's show, a good one and a not so good one. Did Giannis put his stamp on these playoffs and say, it's mine, I'm coming for the title? And what the hell happened to the Golden State Warriors? So much more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. But the best way to help grow the show is to comment below. Give us a comment. Let us know. What do you think happened to the Warriors in this game tonight? So many crazy things happened in that game. But the better one, obviously, though, the Bucks versus the Celtics. We'll get into that. And joining me, as always, on a Thursday, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
COVID ain't no joke, bro. But we here. I'm on the IR, but we here.
on the DL, but fighting through it. Pat the Designer, running through the family right now. Glad everybody over there is safe. Maybe not feeling 100%, but still going well. All right, today we're going to get into Milwaukee versus Boston. The Milwaukee Bucks get a win, 110-107, that they did not expect. And then we'll talk about the Warriors versus Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not even going to say the score. I'll just tell you that Memphis had a 55-point lead at one point, and it did not get better for the
Warriors. Worse.
Yeah, and it got worse without Ja Morant. So we'll talk about all that. But let's start with 110-107. Milwaukee gets a win. They're now up 3-2, the pivotal game 5. And it didn't look like this was going to be a Bucks game, right? Like the Celtics, after they're around the first quarter, took control of this game. Yep. Multiple times they had double-digit leads. They built it up, and then Milwaukee would tear it back down, and they built it back up again. 10 minutes left in the game. Boston had a 14-point lead. And then the Bucks outscored the Celtics 31-14 to end that game in the fourth quarter, and it came down to some incredible plays by Jrue Holiday and Giannis. Giannis hits a 3 with 1:40 left to cut the lead to 3. Jrue Holiday then hits a 3-pointer to make it a tie game, and then 2 fouls in a row. Grant Williams just trying to stand there and exist in front of Giannis, right? Like just literally trying his best.
Yeah.
Fouls Giannis twice in a row. The second one put him on the line. He hits this first one, or he hits the first one, misses the second one, and then Bobby, don't call me, punch my teammate in the face, Portis, gets the rebound and the putback. Just a massive, massive play to give Milwaukee a 1-point lead. And then on the other end, the Celtics try to run an inbound play, and then they give the ball to Marcus Smart. Pat Connaughton's on him. Jrue Holiday from the help side comes over, huge block on Marcus Smart, and then he saves the ball, throwing it off of Marcus Smart's chest. Huge play from Jrue Holiday. Pat Connaughton hits 2 free throws on the other end. Jrue Holiday then gets a steal off of Marcus Smart, and Jrue Holiday impressed me so much in this game, and sometimes you just need these players in playoff runs, right? You just need these type of players that say, hey, I don't care that Marcus Smart is the defensive player of the year. I'm going to be the most impactful defensive player in this last end of the game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It seems like nobody cares that Marcus Smart is the defensive player of the year that's going up against him. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I feel like once he got the defensive player of the year, everybody that was going up against him was like, oh, DPOY, huh? Let's see, right? But
target on his back all of a sudden.
Oh, well, that's what it does. You know what I'm saying? That's why big men get it so often. But I was shocked, to say the least, that Boston allowed this game to get out of their hands the way that they did, right? That third quarter, Jaylen Brown, 16-point third quarter, absolutely playing dominant basketball. Marcus Smart with some great basketball in that third quarter as well. And I thought that was going to be the lead that kind of pushed Boston over the top, right? I thought that was the one that I was like, okay, they've kind of got Milwaukee down, but Milwaukee, credit to them, man. And it shows you, right? You can never count the NBA champion out, especially when you've got Giannis over there as well. But it was such a big change of events at the end of that game where you just saw Giannis kind of saying, okay, we got to go. We're going to make this move. Jrue Holiday was on as Stacey King would say, there were 5 Jrue Holidays out there. He was making every single defensive
You would think
play.
that Justin and Aaron Holiday were out there too.
No, it was every single defensive play you needed down the stretch there. And I think the bigger story to me is that Marcus Smart, after pretty much playing a perfect game, kind of succumbed to the pressure at the end there to Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday closed out that game, couple of a big steal, a big block, and then you saw Marcus Smart in there. He had the rebound in his hand, him and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Bobby Portison's up with it. Sometimes these NBA runs take a little bit of luck, and that was a little bit of luck to give them that 1-point lead.
And it was just like everything went right for Milwaukee in the last 2 minutes, right? It's just everything went right for them in the last 2 minutes, and nothing went right for the Celtics. And one of the things that I'm questioning for the Celtics before we get into Giannis is they go to Marcus Smart twice in the last 2 plays. The inbounds pass where he has Connaughton on him. You'd think that, okay, Marcus Smart posting up Connaughton, that's probably a good play where at least you maybe get a bucket where he goes for that jumper. He had the jumper before Jrue Holiday came over and swatted his stuff.
Yeah.
But they go for him there. And then you also have the inbound to Marcus Smart from the made basket that then Jrue Holiday comes over and is like, I'm going for this, whether I get the foul or not, doesn't matter, and just took his cookies right from him. There's a lot of like X's and O's on Twitter right now where people are like circling, look at Jayson Tatum on the top of your screen. He was wide open. Should they have tried to go for Jayson Tatum, or should they have tried to get one of those guys? Because Tatum was the only one really having anything going to this game. I mean, he had 34 points, got some help from Jaylen Brown, but he was the one that was keeping him in it for a lot of it. Should they have gone to Jayson Tatum later?
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy that's carried you. At least go to Jaylen Brown. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who had a really hot third quarter. And I think here's the interesting part is if you watch that play where Marcus Smart gets a shot blocked, and I think these are the difference between a championship level team and a really good basketball team that's kind of trying to get to that championship level is it seemed like Marcus Smart was trying to make up for the fact that he didn't get the rebound. They got the putback. We got to make a bucket here. You see Ime Udoka coming out there and saying, hey, why didn't you give it to? And I couldn't make out because the camera cut right at that moment. But it looked like he was either yelling at Marcus Smart and Marcus Smart responded, or yelling at somebody that they should have made a roll or made a different play. So it seemed like there was a miscommunication there on what the play was. I don't know if it was Marcus Smart trying to make up for the couple of mistakes he'd already had at that point, or if it was a miscommunication where Smart was supposed to roll and kick it down to somebody cutting down, because you're only down 1 at that point, right? You feel like a 2-pointer. You've got the best defense closing out the second half and one of the best defenses in the playoffs, right? You feel good being on the defensive end in that situation. You just need 2. You don't need a big 3. But I feel like, yes, definitely a miss on their part, not finding a way. I'm going to be real with you, right? Like, do you even go to Smart at the point guard in that situation? I probably would have started something with Tatum or Brown in that situation, knowing that they can create their own shot.
Well, the big change that the Celtics have made this year is that Marcus Smart had became their point guard. They've been looking for their point guard. Like, oh, is it Kemba Walker? Is it, do we trade for, they've been thinking about point guards all the time. It feels like trying to figure out who's the guy for us. And Marcus Smart became that guy this year and was the guy that had been like their sort of setup guy. And so you go to him here, but Marcus Smart for his career has been hey, it's Marcus Smart time, and I'm going to go for it, right? And since Oklahoma State, really, he's been that guy that has a little irrational confidence guy in him, and he's had some pretty good games, had some good shooting games, but he's had some games where he shot the Celtics out of games too. But I don't think it all comes down to Marcus Smart at the end of this game. It was the Bucks just imposing their will on the Celtics, and it just looked like if you had it almost looked like, how you have, if you ever watch you have a kid, right? So you watch some of these kid cartoons where they're like there's good guys and bad guys, like there's superheroes and villains, and obviously everything goes right for the heroes in the last like 5 minutes of the show. Like just everything that needs to go right for them went right for them, and you almost like the villain becomes less of a main character and more of just like hey, this is a prop that we need in this show to show how good these heroes are. It almost felt like that's what happened to the Celtics, where they just kind of faded in the background because the Bucks just like stepped up, and Jrue Holiday stamped his imprint on this entire game. Absolutely incredible. Coming up, how have we not spent more time talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo yet? 40 points, his sixth 40-point game in the playoff, 40-point, 10 rebound game in the playoffs. Incredible number. The best player alive. Who disagrees? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. If you're loving these playoffs like we are, check out BetOnline. They have everything that you need: stats, odds, lines, everything possible for the NBA playoffs. Game 6, Mavs versus Suns. I don't know if you've been checking out my Mavs and the Suns. Suns are a 2-point favorite in Game 6. Sixers versus Heat. The Sixers open as a 2-point favorite against the Heat in that game. That one's pretty interesting. They're thinking a Joel Embiid comeback game. They actually already have props up. They already have lines up for Celtics Bucks. What's this, Game 6 for them? Bucks open as a 1.5-point favorite. The Warriors open as an 8.5-point favorite. They're not. Vegas is apparently not scared away from that Warriors loss. So if you feel strongly about any of those, go check it out on BetOnline. They have even more stuff, more than NBA. They have fights. They have Major League Baseball, all kinds of stuff. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Now make sure to listen to Locked On NBA Big Board. Host Rafael Barlow. Chad Ford gave him the NBA Big Board. He said, hey, this is my baby. I've created this. I'm going to hand it to you. He handed it to Rafael Barlow. Go check out that podcast on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Everything NBA draft, mock drafts, big boards, everything. Go check it out. All right, Pat. Giannis Antetokounmpo. And just incredible night from him. 40 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, a steal, a block. He did have 7 turnovers, but he hits the free throw at the end. That 3 with 1:40 left was huge. He hit another 3 earlier in the game as well. And just putting his stamp on this game and saying, hey, I'm the best player alive. I'm the best player alive. I can get to this level. I can be the guy that, hey, maybe I get outplayed by Al Horford the game before, but it's not going to happen to me 2 nights in a row. You're not going to do that to me twice in a row. I mentioned that it's his 6th career 40-point, 10 rebound game in the playoffs. The only other players to do that in the NBA playoffs are LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
I mean, those are like 5 of the top 10 best players of all time, and Giannis is now up there with this stat.
Giannis Antetokounmpo has an opportunity to finish his career as, if not the greatest, one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball. And there's a dominance level. I've said this over on the Windy City Breeze that Shaq showed. That, not to say Giannis is at that level, but we didn't see that same athleticism out of Shaq when he went to LA. Giannis is going to carry that his whole career. And if Giannis adds a jump shot like he did tonight, Giannis wasn't just a threat in the paint. Giannis wasn't just a threat dunking on your head, which he's a threat to do every single night. Giannis was a threat to jay it in your face, as Kevin Garnett would say. Giannis was a threat to hit you with the back, turn around one leg. Is that Dirk Nowitzki? Not as Giannis Antetokounmpo, both European, but not the same thing. Cash money. That is going to make him the most deadly player in the NBA right now. And if he continues to gather jewelry, he will have an opportunity to be one of the best players, if not the best player to ever play the game, because he's combining dominance with finesse. This is not the same Giannis. Remember, James Harden came out and said, oh, Giannis is
unskilled player.
All you do is dunk. You're just not skilled there. No, that's not this Giannis, bro. Giannis got one of the nastiest Euro steps in the NBA. Giannis's no-look pass is actually a no-look pass. It's not a Kyle Kuzma look pass. We remember that from the season. You know what I'm saying? Giannis is...
I didn't expect Kyle Kuzma to be catching strays today.
Here's the thing we got to understand, even in this series alone, but it mimics Giannis's career. He's still getting better.
Yes. The mid-range shot, you mentioned the mid-range shot that he has added as the years gone on. That's been a big thing for him this year. And some of that was, the Bucks this year, they tried to do some different things on defense. They tried some different things, and they weren't as successful as they have been in past regular seasons. Part of that is Giannis trying to add this mid-range shot, and he did shoot better from the mid-range this year. But That's going to be huge for him. He hit a bunch of shots at the rim. He hit a couple shots from about 10 feet. Then he hits like 3 shots around the free throw line or the elbow, those little turnarounds, the pull-ups. And if he can get that shot, he's got that release point really high. That you can get over anybody. Like, ask this dude. Ask Dirk Nowitzki. Right? Like, ask that guy on my wall.
Yeah.
If you can hit that shot, you can play and score in this league for a long, long time. And then he hits the 2 threes too. Like, we talk a lot about in the NBA and NBA media about scoring on 3 levels. Giannis has now added the 2 level, and the 3 level is still coming around for him. It's not all there, but he can't hit them. Right?
I live with it for now.
He's not Ben Simmons there, and it's incredible to try and stop him. There's times in this game where he turns floaters into dunks. Like a normal shot, if somebody was like all the way back here and they're trying, it would be a floater for every other player in the league. Giannis is like, dunk.
Yeah.
Just dunk on your head, right? Like, it is wild to watch what he can do on a basketball court. And he also got a wedgie in this game.
Yeah,
he did it all. He literally did it all.
He's done everything. He's still one of us. That's the one thing I love about Giannis. Giannis is really a regular dude. I love the press conference too, where he's like
the dad jokes.
No, not the dad jokes. Where he's like, hey, how much is it to talk about the refs?
Oh yeah, how much do I get fined? 20,000?
Nah, I gotta buy diapers. No, that hit me right here. Diapers are not cheap if anybody's getting into this. But dog, like, you look at just this Boston series alone, game 1 was 24, 13, and 12. He shot 9 for 25. Game 2, 28, 9, and 7, 11 for 27. All right. Game 3, 42, 12, and 8, 16 to 30. Game 4, 34, 18, and 5, and he got outplayed in that one.
Quote unquote.
He shot 14
for the people in audio.
Yeah. And then 40, 11, and 3 tonight. Like, he's still getting better. And this is the thing. This reminds me of what we saw with guys like Michael Jordan, guys like Kobe Bryant, guys like Stephen Curry even, where you're watching the playoffs and you're like, yo, like, he's not slowing down. He's still going full force. He's getting better than everybody else that's on the court that we thought was really good coming into this. So all credit to Giannis, man. He's been my best player in the NBA for at least 2 years now. I don't care what the MVP voting says. I don't care what the MVP vote. And it's no disrespect to KD. It's no disrespect to LeBron. Those guys are still top 5 players. But to me, there's no point on the court where you can stop Giannis. And everybody says, make him shoot threes. You can't make him do anything. Make him shoot threes. You stand in front of him.
Yeah, right.
Stop him from getting to the rim.
Ask Grant Williams how that went in the last 5 minutes.
Ask Patrick Williams. I watched him give Patrick Williams a little bow. He flew 10 feet. He's not weak.
No. Another adjustment that the Bucks have made over the last couple of games is Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis was huge in this game. He played 28 minutes. He had 15 boards. He had 14 points. Now, Bobby Portis also takes all these jumpers that just drive me insane, and I'm sure would drive any NBA coach insane. But he had more offensive rebounds, 7, than the entire Boston Celtics team, who had 5. Like the Bucks out offensive rebound the Celtics 17-5 in this game. That's where they're getting the advantage, right? They're bigger, they're huge. They have Giannis, obviously, Portis, and one of the things Giannis allows you to do is like, hey, you can use any other big man you want. Like any type of big man you want to use, you can use that guy.
100%.
And Giannis will just fill in the gaps everywhere else. And Bobby Portis has become that guy. He's a little bit more mobile. Obviously, can get the offensive rebounds, can get a lot more boards. Brook Lopez does a good job, like leading boards to people, but he's not a dude getting boards. He just doesn't. But Bobby Portis does, and that's been a change they made, and that's it's kind of wild seeing Bobby Portis. And I'm sure as a Bulls fan, watching Bobby Portis have this big of an impact in a second-round series is wild.
Yeah, I'll tell you this right now. You know what? No, it's not wild because, like, I see Bobby, and Bobby's in the perfect role for Bobby, and he'd have never had that role here with Chicago. On Chicago, he was the number 1 option, essentially, for a little while, right? Like, I don't think Bobby's the number 1. I love Bobby. I feel like he's absolutely the kind of player this Milwaukee Bucks team needs, because I'm not going to lie to you, it doesn't matter what Bobby does in the game. You feel the impact. Bobby Portis had a game where he had 9, 7, and 1. We talked about his impact on the game the same way we're going to sit here tonight on a night where he shot he shot 3 for 9 that night, 13 and 8 the night before on 5 for 7 on where tonight we're going to talk about his 14 and 15 the exact same way because of the impact he has on the game.
Yeah.
And he shot 4 for 14. Like you said, those jump shots, when Bobby's hot, Bobby's hot. But it's one of those things where there's never a game that goes by for the Milwaukee Bucks unless, you elbow him in the eye and he goes out bleeding and he can't see, that Bobby Portis's presence is not felt. And you see it in the fact that he got to the free throw line, took 6 free throws, knocked down every one of them, defensively was an anchor the entire night. Like, it's just what he does. It's Bobby. And you love that kind of player. And when you have a championship caliber team, that kind of player is needed. That guy that's going to do whatever it takes to help you be great. Like, that's what Bobby's become. Like, Bobby's like, I don't need to be great. That Greek dude over there is really freaking good. We're going to let him be great, and I'm going to pick up all the scraps.
You got to have those role players. Pat Connaughton, shout out to him making 2 threes in the fourth quarter. Those free throws were huge. Wes Matthews, as a the former Maverick, like watching him in these playoffs was absolutely. And by the way, that last play of the game where we were talking about how the Celtics should have gone to Tatum instead of Marcus Smart when Jrue Holiday stole it. Bobby Portis like crunched Wes Matthews and totally knocked him over in that play, and that's why Jayson Tatum was open. But Wes Matthews having an impact and playing 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, like playing the entire fourth quarter. It's incredible to see what Wes Matthews is doing in the role that he's carved out for this team. The role players are stepping up for the Bucks, and it's looking like a title run for them. We thought maybe a title run for the Golden State Warriors, but I'm rethinking a lot of things about this Warriors team after this Game 5. Let's talk about why the Warriors got destroyed by the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant. Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about RockAuto.com. You don't want to have to go to a dealership or an auto parts store. And they're like, okay, let's figure out what part you need. You need this specific part. All right, well, we don't have that one because we have this one, but it's a different size. Or we have this one, but it just doesn't fit because they made it differently in 2004 than they do in 2022. You have to figure out all that kind of stuff. Why would you waste all that time there when you could just go to rockauto.com, see the parts available for your car or truck? You know they're going to fit for your car. You can get them. They're a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. You want to fix the part yourself? You don't have to pay the labor. Anybody hate when you go to a dealership or go to a mechanic and they're like, all right, parts and then labor. And you're like, how long did that take you to do that? Really? How long did that take you? If you got the know-how, go ahead to Rock Auto. Go to see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? And they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. All right, Pat. The Golden State Warriors, I know we've mentioned them a lot, but it's wild to me that this Golden State Warriors team loses 95-103. We will give the Memphis Grizzlies their credit. We will give them their credit. But for this Golden State Warriors team to win in Game 3 win in Game 4 without Ja Morant, and then to come out in this game and be able to close out this series early, because this Mavs Suns is already going to 6. To be able to close this out early and to fall flat the way that they did, like first quarter competitive back and forth, second quarter kind of got a little out of hand. By halftime, it was over, and you could just tell they were getting so outworked in every way. Here, this is just halftime stats. This is not even full game. This is halftime stats. You ready for this? At halftime, it was a 3-point game or something like that.
Yeah,
24-point game. Memphis had the 10th highest points in a first half in any playoff game in history. 10th out of all the playoff games that have ever been played. Only 9 teams have scored more points than them. Memphis was 14-0 in second chance points against the Warriors. Memphis was 36-14 in points in the paint. They had 12 more points in the paint than the Warriors did. 22. I can't do any math. 22 more points in the paint.
Blame it on COVID, bro. That's what I did.
Yeah, I can't even blame the sickness. The Warriors took 39 shots in the first half. 6 of them were within 12 feet. 6.
Yeah.
Like, they just got so jumper happy in that first half, and the Warriors took 57% of their shots from 3 in the first half. I'm going to keep going. Memphis had an offensive rebound percentage. You want to talk about some of the 4 factors? Offensive rebound percentage of 46.7. That's the 100th percentile. That's like the highest that's expected. That's like there's nothing higher than that's expected. from them. The Warriors' offensive rebound percentage was 10.5. That's in the 1 percentile, literally the lowest that they could expect. Turnover percentage, the Memphis Grizzlies 5.8. That's the 98th percentile, so the highest. So they didn't turn it over at all. The Warriors 26.4 turnover percentage. That's the 0 percentile. Like literally, Cleaning the Glass looked at these stats and said, "That doesn't even make sense."
Yeah.
Like we got to come up with a new like 0th percentile. Like they turned it over. They got worked on the offensive rebounds. They got worked in the paint. They got worked all over the place in this game. The inside guys afterwards were just like, it looked like they were going through the motions, and kind of it felt like that.
I think if you look at it right, like on the interior, there's a big difference in this series than we saw in that Minnesota series, right? Because you can play Steven Adams. These guys aren't so, oh my God, we can't keep up with him. He's going to blow past you every time. That Steven Adams can't get on the court. Guess what? Steven Adams, last 2 games, 15 rebounds and 13 rebounds. I just need, what they say in the interview? You're a big guy. Just be big. Just be big.
Steven Adams, you're a big guy, right?
You're a big guy. You calling me fat, mate?
You call me fat, bro? Mate.
It was. I forget he's Australian every single.
He's not though. He's from New Zealand,
right? Yeah, I forget.
It's good. It's good you forget he's Australian because he's
don't fight me
because he's not.
I wouldn't fight anybody from New Zealand. They breed large people. But no, I look at how this game went, right? And it's tough to break down a game that finishes 134-95.
The Grizzlies had a 55-point lead in this game.
I look at how this game went down as throw it away, Golden State. Like, I don't see this as now I will say this. If it gets to 7 based on how they played, or based on how they play in Golden State, you might have a little concern because we've seen this Memphis team win quite a bit without Ja Morant, and they're continuing that trend here. But I think that this is an interesting situation where Memphis kind of just was hitting every single thing. Today was the day, right? Like you used the hero villain analogy for kids in the last segment. This was like Superman when he got to let go. This was like Doomsday.
Here's the thing, though. In the first half, because like second half was basically all garbage time. Steph and Draymond only played like 5 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
In the first half, the Grizzlies shot 50% from the floor, 44% from 3. They only took 18 threes. They had 16 free throws and hit 11 of them. That's only 68%. Like, they left stuff on the table in the first half.
Yeah.
There's another level they could have gone to still, but they outworked the Warriors in every other way. And just such a credit to this Grizzlies team. Like, this team fights, and this team has just so many answers. They have so many guys that just outwork and out-hustle. Dare we say grit and grind is back for the Memphis Grizzlies? Because, man, it is incredible to watch this team just all over. And it doesn't seem like, maybe besides Dylan Brooks, who was better in this game, but they don't have egos where it's like, I got to be the guy that steps up. I got to be the guy that hits these shots. Like between Bane and Jackson and, even Tyus Jones, who's been really good as a backup when Ja Morant's been out. Steven Adams, DeAnthony Melton coming in, Zaire Williams, a rookie, Brandon Clark. Like, none of these guys are like, hey, I got to be the guy. I got to step up. It seems like they do it together as a team. Yeah. It's been incredible to watch this team without Ja Morant. I don't know. Would they have won this game with Ja Morant? Do we want to go in that direction?
I think you still have a chance to win this game with Ja Morant.
The way the Warriors played, any team could beat them.
Yeah, for sure. That's a weird situation, right? Where like Memphis basketball wise feels kind of like a college town, almost like an OKC. So I feel like they actually get that, being young and stuff like that. They get that boost being at home. Like, all right, we back in Memphis. Now you got to beat up, but now y'all got to go to Golden State. You're not going to get that same boost. And Golden State's one of the rockinest arenas in the NBA. But I think listen, it's every time we have a conversation about a team playing well in the playoffs, right? We're talking about them going 8-9 deep. They went 10 deep tonight with guys that gave you 5 or more points. And that makes such a difference. You didn't have a ton of guys going out there giving you great rebounding, right? But Steven Adams comes back and he's a great rebounder. Outside of that, Jaren Jackson is a walking block party. There was nothing around the rim that was easy for you tonight. So I feel like this is a great game for Memphis. Jaren Jackson coming off a little cocky at the end. He slipped it in and nobody paid attention to it. He was like, He's like, yeah, we'll see y'all back here in Memphis for game 7. I was like, I don't know if I'd make the guarantee there, Jaron.
Hey, like Luca says, if you don't believe, you shouldn't be here. Basically, right? But
hey, believe. All right.
Hey, I listen. Speaking of believe, I listened to Dan Patrick had Tracy McGrady on his show today, and he was like, they were talking about LeBron, and Tracy was like, LeBron has turned into one of the best players in the world, and Dan Patrick goes, at what point in your career did you realize that LeBron was better than you? And Tracy McGrady was like, never. He's like, I can't say that he's a better player, and I'm like, all right, I don't know if you need that much belief in your career, but sometimes
Tracy's got the greatest what if of all time, though, right? Like
he could have been traded for Scottie Pippen.
Well, I mean, not that. Yeah, well, let's not.
That was a good one.
Let's not talk about. Well, you know what? That one don't bother me. I got 3 more rings out of that. But Tracy's the greatest what if, because there were a couple seasons where you looked and you were like, "Hey, Tracy's the best player in the NBA right now," but then he got hurt. So he'll always be able to be like, y'all remember when I was the best player in the NBA? I do.
Him and Grant
Kobe
Hill
said it. So that's always gonna be the biggest one. I respect T-Mac though. I respect him. Hey,
anyway,
you got to get out the first quarter.
He believed in himself. Jaren Jackson seems to believe in himself in the Grizzlies. An incredible game from them. Not to take anything away, just this Warriors team is incredible. They had 22 turnovers in this game.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was there was nothing that, and that's why I say it, right? Like, you burn the tape of this one. They're a championship level team. I know we're gonna hear and see all over Twitter, oh, Mike Brown took over and now they're losing and this is that and that. Listen.
Yeah, good luck, Kings
These
fans.
guys know all about how to win a championship. There's a few players on there that you can say, hey, they don't know what the heck they're doing. But when you got Steph, Klay, and Dre, and they're still leading the charge, I feel pretty confident that they're going to get the job done, especially in Golden State.
So there it is. That's the games in the playoffs. Go check out all of the local Locked On podcasts for more. John Corrales, Locked On Celtics, will have great analysis on this. Kane Pittman, Locked On Bucks, will have incredible stuff on this Bucks game. Cyrus Satzes may just like fall over and die on Locked On Warriors, talking about this team. You got Michael Cole and Sean Coleman on Locked On Grizzlies. You can go listen to our podcast, Locked On Mavs, Locked On Bulls. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Boom!